I started doing these naming groups like you're in here today. And what I found was that we would start to talk, and sometimes we'd argue, and sometimes people would even get angry at each other, want to leave.
Oh, no.
And I would like be, no, you can't leave, just hang in there. You know, something really remarkable is going to happen here. And what would happen is eventually, if we talked long enough about the story and the piece, there was a consensus that emerged. Okay? And that's where the names of the pieces come from now. Now, what interested me the most about this process is, as I started out to say, we have this idea that art is a subjective experience, that you have your opinion, I have my opinion, right? And so one of our highest moral values right now is tolerance, right? But what people don't understand about tolerance is the dark side of tolerance is loneliness. I'll tolerate you, but I'll never understand you. You'll tolerate me, but you'll never understand me, right? And so we agree to disagree, but there's this sort of a darkness on the, and so what a lot of people, and particularly my generation, started looking for was community, right? Community, we're all looking for community, right? Well, so here I was in this group of people, we're talking, and rather than agreeing to disagree, we're agreeing to agree. Well, what happened was that there was this electric feeling that went around the group. Sometimes you'd even have these little prickles go up your arm because it was creating a sense of connection. And that's what appealed to me about this whole process, and why I've continued to work with it, is because it seems to really bring people together around art. Ever since the Renaissance, there's been this sort of a development of what I call a pseudo-scientific language of art. Line, color, form, composition. If I had a doctoral degree in art, I could tell you whether this is a good piece or a bad piece, right? So most people are very intimidated about having an opinion about anything having to do with art. Well, that's not where I'm coming from with this, and that's not where we're coming from when we start to talk about naming the pieces here. We have within us an ability to connect along that line. And so that's kind of where I kind of wanted to give you a little background with this so you can understand why this process is very important to me in terms of engaging people with the work. These are all pieces that have not been named, but I thought we would start with this one. And the reason is because this was the one that was originally put up in the naming box last fall. And I got a bunch of names here, which I'm going to read through some of them. But I wasn't really satisfied with any of these names, and I thought I want to put it in front of a larger naming group and just see if we can reach a little more consensus on it. So anyway, the most obvious thing that came out of this, which got suggested about 5 times because I think there's a song named after it, is Three Dog Night. But I'll read you some of the other ones, because it's the name of a rock band in the 60s, yeah. Okay? Tree Dog Night, Dog Flight Under Crescent Moon, Quizzical Pals, Stray Dogs, Three Sisters, Moonlight Mischievousness, Prelude to a Howl, A Howling Good Time, Woofy Party, Hounds O'er the Moon, The Moon's Arc Out of Control, Dancing Dogs, Which Moon Do We Howl At, which is W-I-T-C-H, More Moons Than Dogs, Caution, Howling Prohibited, Acid Dogs at 4 Moons, Answering the Dingo Cone, The Eyes Have It, Eyes on the Prize, Canine Council, Through the Night, Visions of the Night, Moondog, Name Search, Coyote Moonlight, and then a couple that came in later, Stray Moondogs, Which Moon, W-H-I-C-H, Do We Howl At Now, and Prelude to Howling. Well, that's a lot to throw out there. So we can just dispense with all those if we want.
What
Or
if the title, an alternate title pops into your head right away? Is that something I share, or just write it down?
I would like if you share it, and I'll write it down, and then we'll share it with each other.
All right, it just popped in my head. Moonstruck coyotes on the Mojave Highway.
Moonstruck coyotes on the what highway?
Mojave, because it looks like there's a desert behind them.
Okay, Mojave.
I was staying away from dogs. I don't find them
You don't
dogs.
think they're doggy?
No, I'm more wolf maybe.
Wolf, okay.
And and then of course the Trinity, which would be 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what's that mean to you, Trinity?
Well, the Trinity is again powerful in that it exhibits a wholeness. Usually you need 4 to get the whole power, but 3 is also powerful.
Yeah, well, the Christian Trinity is, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but I think the 2 at the front are more like a dichotomy, because blue and white essentially.
Kind of like
So
yin,
they're the-
yin and yang. Or,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is I do research in mythology
Yeah.
over the globe, and so when I'm trying to name a piece, I brought one of my books where I
Yeah.
take notes,
Yeah.
and then I just skim through it,
Mhm.
and that relates to whatever,
Yeah.
and then something pops out, just like what
Yeah.
popped out for you.
Well, kind of related to what you said about the dichotomy of those two. My first thought when I saw it was the Cadejo of Central American
What do they call it
mythology.
again?
Cadejo, I can get the Cadejo.
Cadejo.
Yeah, they're these 2 dogs that
Oh.
there's one white and one black, and they'll
What are they about?
well, one is good, which is the white one, because there's weird history regarding how we associate colors with certain things. But and that one will try to lead you home. Well, the black colored one tries to lead people astray. There's usually 2, but maybe the third one could be kind of like a balance between that, not following the rules all the time, but trying to sort of find a good medium.
Interesting, Cadejo. I didn't know that. What do you guys think?
You were saying something about usually there's 4, it makes it more powerful. Maybe there's like a 4th wolf somewhere that goes with the 4th moon.
That could be, yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, these are interesting because they're not really phases of the moon so much.
No, I felt like the moon is drifting it over time.
Oh.
You
It's a
know,
new
yeah,
moon.
yeah, like they're there, but the moon is in different phases because of time.
During the time, there is a time sequence in it, yeah. And they're also kind of on a pedestal of some sort there. I don't know what that is. They're sitting on this platform here.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of interesting. Yeah. You guys, anything more?
I saw the moons as distinct, not indicative of different times, but there's really 4 moons there, and
Yes.
and I'm thinking about how the figures in the front are all kind of touching each other, and like when animals are close, they will kind of like almost snuggle close to each other, and so there's some aspect about that, and I'm thinking about like moon communion or moon family or something like that.
Okay.
Now there are 4 moons, so there's the complete wholeness.
There's 3 and 4, yeah.
Yeah. So there's
Interesting.
where the 4th one is.
Oh, interesting. So they're kind of connected, the animals and the moons. The moon family. That's an interesting name.
Well, they do. Dogs and wolves, they
Howl at the moon.
can howl at the moon. Yeah, definitely.
Why do they haul at the moon?
Free their spirit.
Free their spirit.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Now we're getting somewhere.
I was thinking they kind of hold this demeanor to them of like bewilderment, but like freedom in that aspect, you know, like they're let loose in the wild and they can howl under their moons.
Yeah.
And I would agree with like the 4 different moons that maybe they are like 4 separate moons, and there was like a significance to that.
In what way? Like in time?
I don't
sequence,
know,
or-
like not in time. Like there's genuinely 4 different.
Oh, they're each
moons,
different
yeah.
meaning.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. But so there's some kind of freedom thing going on here, and that seems to be kind of coming up, and something about release or something. Does that
Yeah.
does that sound like something? I'm thinking as I'm looking at it, release. Like when you howl, you let it go. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Be able to yell at the top of your voice.
Right. And then we talked about power, moon power, and Kadeho. Tell me more about the Kadehos.
I mean, yeah, that's basically even the myth. I mean, there's a.
Is it an Aztec or Mayan?
Indigenous Central American. I think mostly like the El Salvador region: Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Costa Rica, and Nicaragua.
Okay.
And
And
it's said to look like a dog, but it's not a dog.
it's not a dog.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a mythical creature. So
Got
it looks like a dog, but it's
But does it
not
have any
actually a
other
dog.
Characteristics like a feathered tail or anything like that?
Deer-like hooves, and also moves like a deer rather than like a dog.
Yeah,
That kind of sounds like
That's-
that actually kind of sounds like my dog sometimes when she would leap through the forest. She looked more like a deer.
Deer-like hooves.
Yeah.
We really got that.
Yeah, it's a lot of just yeah.
I kind of see them more as wolves than dogs. I don't know. What do you all think? Is it
Less domesticated.
Definitely,
Like a dog,
yeah.
Yeah.
They
more-
seem wild, not domestic.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that just made me think about the Kadeho is because they also seem to be quite close shaven, and a lot of there's the Mexican hairless dogs. A lot of
Yeah.
because of the desert areas, you don't want to have a big fur
Right.
coat.
Do they seem menacing at all?
No.
No,
The
Playful
eyes
to me.
have some kind of quality to me. I don't know what it is. What's in the eyes? That are they stunned or?
To me, they seem like hypnotized. That's why I thought moonstruck, because they seem like they're mesmerized.
Yeah, like
Right. Not
or
not going to overpower or menace us, but they're kind of in the thrall of something else.
well, that's where lunacy comes from. Is
Oh,
maybe if the
absolutely.
moon would drive you insane.
Yeah.
So you could call it lunar struck.
lunar struck.
Yeah, because instead of calling it moons, which is obvious, it's a lunar effect.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I think we're getting somewhere.
I see them as very relaxed.
What?
I see them as very relaxed, especially the dark one in the front. I work with a lot of dogs, and that pose, the hips, it's a relaxed pose. So
So it could
I
be
call
like
it-
they were in a spell, maybe.
a spell, I call it moonlight retreat. That just came to me because they look like they're not wary of some predator coming after them. They look like they may have just eaten, and so they're satiated. They're not hungry. They don't seem to have any worries to me. But their tails are raised, so that with dogs at least, tails raised, they're a little bit excited about something going on because they're not. So I don't know what they're excited
Maybe they're
about.
raised to the
Maybe-
moon.
Yeah, maybe they are raised to the moon.
Or
'Cause it's-
moonlight passion.
Like
Yeah.
honoring the moon or something, or I don't know.
Are they passionate or not?
Passionate.
Passionate yet relaxed.
They're
Yeah.
relaxed, but they're
It's almost like
content.
meditative or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's like a spell, but it's like something a little bit more all-knowing in a way. It's not just that they're in the thrall of a spell. There is something maybe they're trying to tell us, you think? Hence their tails in the air and stuff? I don't know.
Well, they seem to be talking to each other, to me.
You think?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Could be a mom and a dad and a kid. Family.
And
That's
they're
true.
close to each other too.
Could be
They're
kind of a-
comfortable.
Yeah,
There's a lot of love.
What about
their
rapture? Is there
positions.
anything about rapture in that?
Rapture
Oh,
would be
that's
nice.
an interesting
Yeah.
Did you seem raptured?
If we want to go back to the 4 moons thing, I did just look up that I hope I'm pronouncing this right, it's named after Galileo. Galilean moons are the 4 biggest moons of Jupiter. So named because they're the ones that he could see through the telescope.
Yeah.
Jupiter has a lot more moons than that, but those are the really big ones that we can see from here.
Uh-huh.
So if we want to
Is
make
there any
reference to the-
significance to the 4 moons of Jupiter?
I don't think so. It's just that there are 4 very big ones that could be seen from Earth if you have a telescope.
Okay. I don't know what Jupiter is about in the.
Oh, is in what he in the mythology itself?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Zeus. Jupiter is Zeus. He's
Roman and
he's the head. He's the king god.
Interesting. All right. Now we're at that sort of stage where we're mumbling around and thinking about all these ideas. Let me go over a few of them that came up. So, moonstruck coyotes on the Mojave Highway. So there is some kind of sense there of
like it's a highway.
being in a desert place or something like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And moon power was another thing that came up. We talked about them being more wolves than dogs. And then there's this kind of combination of the Trinity and the, what do you call it, the four quadrinia?
Just Ford's is solid.
Solid.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the 4 moons up there would be symbolic of the tribe, I suppose, of these wolves. What are wolves in a group called?
Pack.
A pack.
Pack. Yeah, the pack.
Mm.
So,
So one suggestion was moon family, but could be moon pack.
yeah, I think a pack would be better.
Howl at the moon. Moonlight retreat. There's a sense of freedom. And then a rapture or release, what we were talking about. I think, aren't we leaning a little more toward the rapture as opposed to the release?
Rapture.
Rapture,
I'm team
yeah.
rapture.
I like that.
Or rapture. Yeah, so rapture. Would that combine with something? Rapture with something else? Like, I don't know. Are you thinking about anything?
What about desert? Because we all think desert, only is desert rapture.
Desert rapture?
Or rapture struck.
Or
The moon symbolizes rebirth.
I was thinking maybe of a combination of things like howl and rapture or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, kind of a couple of things going on.
I guess we're saying moon is too obvious, but like maybe something that like gives the idea, like moon rapture.
Oh, Yeah.
Lunar rapture.
I like that.
Or Jupiter rapture, because you were saying 4 moons.
So dogs
Yeah.
can.
Or lunacy. We talked about lunacy.
Galilean rapture or something. How was supposed to pronounce it? Galilean.
Dogs also can be pathfinders to immortality. So these guys may be ready
Maybe they're guys.
to guide us. So,
Jackals can be psychobomps.
raptured guidance, passionate guidance.
Through Anubis and stuff.
What?
Like I said, if they're jackals, they can be psychobomps.
Sycophants.
Psycho.
What's a sycophant? Remind me.
No. Sycophant. A psychopomp is a guide to the underworld.
A psychophant.
Yeah.
Never heard that word before.
The dark part, it's possible that could be a river with the moon reflected in the dark river.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
of the way the grains go,
Ah,
and there's a little movement
interesting.
there.
Yeah,
So when
that's
you talk
interesting.
about like guiding across the river Styx.
Styx.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
I can
that
totally
just
see
came
that.
to me.
Yeah.
A little mixing of the Egyptian Anubis mythology with the Greek.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there's this thing in a lot of the Chinese houses where they have the lions guarding the gateway, and the story there is that if you can pass them, you can get into heaven, but it's very frightening to get past them. So they're kind of a gateway. These could be like kind of gateway animals in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Cerberus also has 3 heads.
So you get
I said Cerberus also has 3 heads.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Zoroastrian religion, heaven is also believed to be guarded by dogs. That's why you're supposed to be very nice to them.
Maybe a state of rapture.
say again.
A state of rapture.
A stake.
State.
State
They're-
of rapture.
Yeah, that they're in rapture.
If we're going back to talking about like how they're feeling, or before when you mentioned lunacy, again it reminded me, I'm reading like a lot of beat literature for a class I'm in right now, and they use the term Zen lunatics a lot. I feel like they could like be giving that kind of
That's
energy.
pretty good.
It's like opposite.
Zen lunatics.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
Pretty
interesting.
good.
That's kind of exactly what we were talking about.
Zen lunatics.
Yeah, it's a great.
That's kind of cool. It's
I like
kind
that.
of counterintuitive. I like it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, they're in Zen, so that would be cool.
I feel like I could relate a lot to that, so I'm like trying not to bring it up, but also I do feel like that's what we were talking about.
You just gotta keep going.
Zen lunatics.
Yeah.
I don't know, that seems to be hitting a
That's,
spot.
I think it's pretty cool.
Zen,
Yeah.
Zen lunatics?
I don't know how I could be stealing that. That's fully written,
Right.
like written by.
What do we think?
Well, the moon.
And I can
the
look up if it was a
lunatics,
general
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
The moon oriented.
Zen
Yeah.
lunatics?
Zen
I like
lunatics. I like it.
All right.
Yeah.
We might just be stealing this from Jack Kerouac.
It's okay. You can do that.
Stole it from
You can be
something.
cross-referential.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's not. There's
I
no
like
copyright
it.
issue
I
there.
like
What do you think,
it.
Ray? Are you into it? Zen lunatics?
Yeah, I'm just looking up
Yeah, it's got the moon.
where you know
and then
how
state
much
of
it's
being.
used
Yeah.
is a general thing.
Zen lunatics.
Dharma
You had a name for this piece, right?
Yeah, I had Waters of Earth
Waters
And-
of Earth.
and Primal Waters.
And
2 different names.
primal waters. Okay. All right. So what other people see in this?
Did you say that was a mustache at one time?
Well, I think it's a mustache.
it
it
seems
looks
to
like
me
it's
like
being
a
I think it's
stream
like-
of water.
It looks like
Yeah, I think
it's
with the stream
yanked
of
off
water,
its
too.
face or something.
It looks like
And then
water
there's
coming out of
this
its
kind
mouth.
of tree here with,
Yeah, the tree of
Oh.
life there.
I don't know, it's sort of like almost like a rain or something coming through there.
I also like what you said about it looks like the mustache is like being pulled. That's what's like pulling his head in that direction.
Yeah, his head's being yanked over, but by what?
It's
Yeah,
somewhere
something.
between earth and sky.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and there's such a disjuncture between this sort of almost like a rabbit hat
Yeah.
Mhm.
and a human face with a mustache, and then this duck sitting in the water. It's like there's a several layered being here. At some point.
Well, you said earlier about like primal waters. I was thinking, in myth also sometimes called the cosmic ocean or the primordial waters,
Yeah.
tree of life, and then you've got like, before animals were separated, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
It almost seems like he's facing some sort of like internal affliction based off his expression, and like he clearly has several identities and is maybe
Yeah.
feeling some sort of affliction. As a
Do you think
result
it
of
could
that.
be, I was just taking off of what you were talking about there, Leo, of something about some kind of infringement on the natural world.
Yes.
Yeah, it seems primordial to
You know, like, I was talking to William earlier about how a lot of the early pagan imagery was turned into evil. Okay, like
Yeah.
a lot of matriarchal, snakes were a very sacred animal. Now they're considered, kind of dangerous, evil. The old man of nature became the devil. Okay, and so what we've been seeing lately, and we just keep reading it in one area and another, is how we've developed this increasing separation from the natural world that has is starting to cause the possibility of our own extinction, actually. And I don't know, I'm seeing something of that in there. I can't quite put my finger on it, but
to relate to the tree of life, and then it seems like that the duck, or whatever we want to call it, is pulling from the tree of life into the waters. So maybe,
okay, because there is a directionality here to
yeah,
this.
it goes down, and so maybe I think of it as a she, is blessing the waters, or she's improving or taking out the poison of our earth, or whatever. Could be pulling from the waters. Could go either way.
It could go. I see it as more like a vortex
Mhm.
being pulled
Yeah,
because
me
it's the
too.
swirl
That's what I
of
see, like
the
a
water is
spiral.
pulling the creature down,
Yeah.
and I see the mustache as like trying to hold on to
Hold on.
the tree of life.
It's being
Maybe.
pulled
Like-
away.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know,
it's going
as
directly
the
up.
vortex
It does
is
seem to be like
pulling-
reflecting something.
Yeah.
you down.
And it's
Yeah.
literally further in as well on the piece.
And there's a
yeah.
there's some sort of a seriousness or sadness about the face, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't.
To me, it's painful. It seems
Yeah.
painful,
Yeah.
whatever's happening there. Um,
Well, she's a
That's what-
conduit, it seems.
Could also be concentration.
In Finnish tradition,
Yeah.
Confrontation.
Concentration.
going back to our things with the primordial waters and stuff, in Finnish tradition, the world starts from a duck laying 6 eggs on the knee of, oh my gosh, Ilmata, the primordial sea goddess.
Oh,
That's
cool.
interesting.
That's
a
cool.
duck laying eggs on the what?
Yes.
What
These,
is
these 6 eggs then fell into the sea and broke, creating the sun, stars, sky, and land.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
That's Finnish mythology.
And so it was the eggs laid in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. What was I reading the other day that was kind of interesting about that? It was that last Sculpture of the Month I did about Eoaster.
Oh yeah.
That had the connection between the rabbit and the egg and
That was
Easter and all that stuff going on. That had more to do with fertility, but I don't think that's what this is so much about. I find the hat or with the ears just kind of fascinates me in some way. I don't know why something would have that.
Well, birds have all sorts of different kind of feathers, so
Yeah.
that duck could be a part of
Just
the
it'd
duck
be like
feathers.
a bird of paradise
Yeah,
thing or something.
they have draped all sorts of interesting.
There's
Well,
ducks with very
that's
funny
true,
things on their
but,
heads.
you know,
They seem more like
it seems
cattle.
like a cap,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Doesn't it seem like
it
a
kind of seems
cap?
like the only garment they're wearing. Everything else is natural. You can
Yeah,
see
everything
hair
else is now, but this is like almost like a cap with
Like
ears
it's trying to
on it.
disguise
Mickey
itself.
Mouse cap
Well,
gone
that's kinda
astray.
Oswald the rabbit in this case.
Yeah, right, a rabbit.
It's
Yeah.
running from
Yeah,
Mickey
yeah.
Mouse's prototype that was quickly forgotten.
Mickey Mouse
The
is
wabbit, the wabbit.
out of his mind.
What do you guys think? You haven't made too many comments?
I agree with that notion of a vortex, and it feels like there's sort of a downward movement in
This
this,
Yeah, me too.
not
Yeah.
upward.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know what to make of the ears or the cap or whatever that
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
There's a playfulness to that is not anywhere else in the whole scene.
Well, it seems like maybe it's not so much sadness, but a concentration in the face. Huh?
Yeah, this is hard work.
Mm, mm. Yeah.
I wonder if I like the unnatural versus natural thing, or that being part of the problem. I wonder if like the vortex that they're being sucked into is like bringing the being closer to the natural world or further from the natural world. If you guys could be, if anyone has an opinion on
What is
I feel like
Yeah.
further.
There's a whirlwind, a
Whirlpool.
whirlpool.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I was feeling. Is it's a whirlpool.
Yeah,
What do they
bees.
call them up in Scandinavia? Maelstroms or something like that?
Maelstrom.
Yeah, that's the word I like.
Yeah, me
Because
too.
you
Maelstrom
have a
vortex.
circular feel
like
when
a-
you hear that word.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And there's like a pull between water and earth, in a way,
Yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
tree and the water. Although the tree has to grow out of the water.
Yeah.
So
A perpetual maelstrom or maelstrom.
This is a totally out of left field thing, but when I saw this, the title that popped in my head was Summer's Cauldron, because there's a famous song by an album called Skylarking, which has all this imagery of this whirling whirlpool and this tree over it, and someone kind of trapped in this sort of rapture of summer, and describes this sort of like almost drowning.
And it's a painting or
No, it's a song.
a song.
Yeah.
It's called Summer's Cauldron.
Summer's Cauldron. Also, it keeps mentioning a big bronze cup in the song, and this has that bronze finish.
And
to
what?
it.
Who?
A band called XTC. The record came out in 1987. It was like their big breakthrough record. It's very imagistic and pastoral. And
Oh, okay. So it's
That's
a
the first-
modern song.
yeah, from '87.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe it was Irish or something.
Oh,
like that.
no.
Okay, so Summer's Cauldron. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I like cauldron.
Uh-huh.
Maelstrom's cauldron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
What else do we have? Devouring, cosmic ocean, primordial ocean,
Primordial
Summer's
cauldron.
Hmm.
Vortex,
I like vortex too.
Sinsuji, primal waters, waters of earth, maelstrom.
Is this a creation piece? Because you have the tree of life and you've got a cauldron, and the bird can be the creator. So somehow, is she saving the world, or is she creating the world? Or is it just something happening? Is it a happening just at this spot? Does it have more meaning, worldly meaning?
Is it caught between earth and
Yeah, that seems to me.
hell, earth and hell, or something like that?
Doesn't seem like hell to me.
Or caught between earth and the depths, or is it? consciousness and unconsciousness.
An
I
unconscious
feel-
cauldron.
I mean, I see distress on that face,
Right.
and I don't have a feel that this is a creation
No? Okay.
piece. It feels like to me like it's more of a like a dangerous passage.
Ooh, I like that.
Interesting.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, I like
A
that.
dangerous passage.
Yeah.
That's kind of sounds right to me.
Yeah.
That sounds right to me too.
That is.
A dangerous passage.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
People
That's
vote for that?
good. Yeah.
Dangerous passage.
I knew we'd get there.
Yeah.
That was cool. Yeah.
All
Let's
right.
keep
Well,
going.
we can do one more, or we can quit.
But I have titled this
Want to try
one.
one more?
That one, I call it Spirit
A
Messenger.
dangerous passage. Well, I like that.
Good.
So, we're looking at this wonderful piece, and
So I called out Spirit Messenger.
Spirit Messenger.
Butterflies and moths are symbols of messengers between earth and heaven.
Interesting.
So the main focus on this one is a butterfly,
Yeah, here's some
and
more
there's
here.
some more over there, and then there's this leaf or branch, which makes it seem like that's coming from the earth.
Uh-huh. And then there's this sort of a pool down here with this hand.
What is our opinion on that? Someone going, help, I can barely fly!
That's kind of alarming for me, that one detail.
Yeah.
It kind of, everything else sort of calming, and then it kind of makes me go, oh, hell.
Where's that coming from, huh? Well, maybe that's the message. He's got it in his hand there.
Right.
I mean,
A resurrection.
for me, there's well, first of all, I just want to commend you for the natural illustration there, those muscular branches, and then the way the leaves sort of, and then the way you
Yeah,
perch the
yeah.
monarch on that. But one thing that's really struck me is the whole idea of metamorphosis, because you've got an amphibious-looking creature on the right, and then you've got butterflies. You've got the means of metamorphosizing because they always hang from the branches, and then the whole idea that change, transcending from one state to the other, can be very difficult. So that's why I think you have a flailing hand, like help.
Yeah.
Change is super painful, right? So you got this grasping hand. I mean, that's not really a naming suggestion, more of like a thematic response.
Oh, yeah.
No, I can see how we can work it with
Yeah.
it though.
Yeah.
Well, the Spirit Messenger, that's...
Oh, don't fall into the thing.
I
These
always
shoes are
have,
not real studied.
yeah, I have
Is that fine?
butterflies in most of my work as spirit messengers.
Yeah. Well,
So that hits on
the
me.
that's where the Greek word for butterfly and for soul is psyche, from which we
Is that
get
the Greek
yeah,
word for
from which
butterfly?
yes, from which we get psychology and all that.
I didn't know
I had
that.
no idea. Psyche.
That's why we have you here,
Yeah, she's good at it.
She's really good, isn't she? Yeah. Yeah, so there's this kind of, it's interesting, one of my favorite animals is the pelican.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason is because it can live under the water, on the surface of the water, and in the air. And so from the standpoint of consciousness, you can go in the unconscious, in the conscious, and in the spiritual. And it's represented symbolically by the pelican, being able to go through those various states.
I can save the pelican mythology for the end of the session. I'll tell you later, but
The what?
I said I can save the pelican mythology for after the session. I'll tell you then.
Okay.
But
That's a whole other story.
yes.
Yeah.
But I agree that this creature definitely looks amphibious, and amphibians also go through very noticeable stages from being
Oh, that's
a
right.
tadpole
From
or
the nymph
yeah.
to the tadpole
Yeah.
to the
Mhm.
So
or if you're an
there's-
exaltal, you
So there's a
keep
metamorphosis
some of those
in
skills.
this piece,
Yeah.
Metamorphosis.
yeah.
But the end result is about
Yeah, I like that metamorphosis idea quite a bit.
Yeah. And is that what type of animal? Is that kind of combination?
Looks kind of froggy.
Feline?
The humanoid froggy, like the thing in the shape of water. Remember that movie?
Oh yeah.
Cute, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or
You
the
should
or
just-
imaginary friend that I had when I was a
Yeah.
little kid.
Frog man, creature from the Black Lagoon.
Frog.
Yeah, Soaky Peter.
Oh, that's what's the name? What was it called?
Soaky Peter was my imaginary friend.
Soaky.
Soaky Peter.
Silky Peter.
Yes. My grandpa was fascinated by him. He wanted to know all the stories.
And who gave it to you?
Hmm?
Who gave you Silky Peter?
He was my imaginary friend.
Oh, he was imaginary.
Yes.
Soakie.
Yes. E-Y, I think.
Soaky, like smoky but without the M.
Yes. Soaky Peter, some sort of strange frogman. That was my imaginary friend inside.
Could be a Soaky.
That's
Yeah.
Soaky right there.
I give you permission to use my imaginary friend as a name.
I love it.
It'll be forever.
It sounds kind of iconic. Soaky.
So maybe as
Well, the
divine
interesting
animal?
the interesting thing about this is that there is metamorphosis in both these animals,
Right.
but we're not really seeing the interim stages between them.
Right.
We're
Well, that's what
seeing
the
the
branch.
butterfly
The
emerging
vine facilitates.
Yeah.
and
You're right.
the frog in full bloom or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And we still have our little drowning friend
No,
over here.
I think the drowning friend is the one who's in between.
Yes, on his
Yeah,
way.
Yeah.
he's the one who's in the middle of the metamorphosis, and that could be the cocoon or whatever the
Right,
egg.
yeah, exactly.
Ah,
Yeah.
break on through.
The
you know?
source,
Yeah,
the
it's
source
Oh,
Source-
because
the source of
amphibians, you know,
metamorphosis.
when they're in like their tadpole phases, they have to be in the water.
That's
So
Right.
then when they
Yeah.
become a friend, a frog friend, they can go on
So
land.
it's in the process of coming from water to land.
Absolutely. That's a
And
transition
then-
zone right there.
So I was thinking of what Dan said. It's sort of like this is the source of transformation or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The source of metamorphosis, or
The metamorphosis of Soaky Peter.
Yeah, there's
we'll
a
have
prehistory
a
to Soaky
subtitle
Peter.
for this piece.
Used to be
The Silky Peter.
Tadpole Peter.
What do you guys think?
I think that it's almost like they're in their second world, as if like before you have made that transformation, you're in maybe a different world. So like this is their second world.
Say more about that. I'm not quite understanding.
I guess how you would experience things as a completely different being. You could perceive it as like a different world, I guess. Like once you've made that transformation, you perceive things differently.
Okay.
So maybe like these creatures are in their second world or third world, I guess, depending on their
I like that.
metamorphosis.
Well, in the process of metamorphosis, is there an end stage, or is it just a cycle?
I would call
Like
it
samsara?
cosmic metamorphosis, maybe.
I mean, is it like, do you get to the,
It's world.
when you're the butterfly or at the end of the process, or are you just starting it over
I
again?
think even the transitional stages are their own states, I guess, if that's what you're asking.
I
like their own
think that's
worlds.
what I'm asking.
Yeah, the in-betweens count too. They're more than just like
But we're only seeing this sort of one. thing,
Right, so
Yeah.
they're in their second.
Yeah. What do you think, Lynn?
Yeah, or am I the man or am I the butterfly? So it's that whole Chinese concept. Where are you in the metamorphosis, which you would say the second world, and the butterfly would be the third world, or maybe the fourth world if we
Yeah.
want to go with solidness.
Yeah.
And so we have the hand, and then there's one before that. So the hand and the animal are kind of one and the same. That's
Because
what.
I was just seeing this as another
Yeah.
frog under the water or something.
Uh huh.
Maybe, I
So
don't know.
1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 stages.
I hope this isn't too weird, but these things right here, I mean, looks like fertilization is about to happen with these shapes right here.
Isn't that weird?
Oh, I see.
Like the instigators for something for
Yeah.
Fertility.
Little snakes
for
that-
fertility. Yeah, because
yeah.
I noticed that that's those patterns. At first, I thought it was accidental, but I thought no, Brad did that on purpose because they're exactly the same, and they're like 1, 2,
Right,
3,
right.
4, 5.
Which
They're-
one's gonna
They
win?
look awfully determined
Yeah.
fertilize, you know.
Moving forward.
Oh,
So
spermatozoa.
I think so.
Yeah.
You know.
Samsara, the Hindu concept of what you were saying earlier with where does it start, where does it end, like just the
Yeah.
continual rebirth.
Could be rebirth, yeah.
Yeah, there, you know,
Rebirth.
just there's a word. There's a particular word for it. Is samsara from Sanskrit.
Samsara.
Mhm.
Samsara.
Spelled like
With a
spelled like
rebirth,
Sam,
you know.
spelled like Sam, and then like Sarah without an H.
Yeah, samsara. I think I've heard of that before. Yeah, yeah.
Is
It's
it,
yeah.
Isn't it like samsara and nirvana? Nirvana's, or is there another word?
Yes, I
Mixing
think
up with
it's
that?
all. It's also found in Buddhism.
Yeah.
But like in Buddhism, it's supposed to be that instead of the continual rebirth, eventually you
Reach
you
enlightenment.
get to enlightenment and then
Yeah.
you stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Or it could be like the butterfly and the goddess and the frog.
Mhm.
I mean, in different stages.
Hmm. The
Well, it does
butterfly,
look
the
like the-
goddess. Why are you seeing the goddess in there?
Well, I was thinking of the frog as the goddess.
Oh, this would be the
yeah,
goddess.
that one.
Okay.
That would be like a Mesoamerican feline, or tend to be worshipped.
Oh, the jaguar gods.
Yeah. Hmm.
Mm.
That reminds me of a jaguar.
This does.
Uh-huh. Yeah. The spots on it, you know, the one with the spots. The jaguar. Isn't there one that's black and then there's another one that
Well,
Ocelot?
the one that's black is actually still a jaguar. It just has a genetic mutation.
I see.
It can also happen among leopards.
You're
Hmm.
handy.
Oh.
I am a major animal freak, so
Oh,
if you think my talking about myths goes on and on, wait till you get me started on an animal.
Okay, well, we'll get you started here.
I was just thinking within our talking that Soki Peter has metamorphosized into a goddess.
Hmm.
And I think that's really sweet.
Yeah.
I'd be glad to hear that because my sister thought he was a drowned child at one point, that I was just being a very weird kid.
Well, the animal seems so important to
Mhm.
me,
Mhm.
and the butterfly.
Yeah, I wonder, we talked about Psyche equaling butterfly, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So what about something like the metamorphosis of Psyche?
Yeah, that could definitely work. In the Greek mythology, Psyche is the eventual wife of Cupid, Eros. And she is, you know, and she does metamorphosize from being immortal. Sorry, that just sounds weird. Amortal to immortal. You know, because she's originally just a young woman, and in order to get married to a god, she has to become a god.
Hmm.
Has anyone pointed out how Psyche sounds like Soki? Metamorphosis. Soki.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a coincidence. There's no coincidence in this. Doesn't exist.
I think we're bound and determined for Soki. Yeah. We all like that.
You were just in that pre-metaphoric stage when you adopted Soki.
So the frog can represent the soul of the not yet. So, because the frogs go through a metamorphosis, so it can symbolize the soul of the not yet. So,
Soul
is this
metamorphosis.
not yet? Is this happening right here, not yet? Or is it because it comes from the frog, obviously?
Why are you saying the soul of the not yet? I'm-
That the frog.
No,
That
why-
is
why?
Why?
Yeah.
Why would that be?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
it's just a symbol. It says,
Okay,
I just have I have the lily represents a new life. The red apple also life. The hedgehog rejuvenates,
Mhm.
beautifies. So it's just a series of defining of what an animal can represent.
and
And
the
so the
frog,
frog can represent the not yet.
the not yet.
Yeah.
And
not
why
yet.
would that be? I'm just curious.
Because it's a tadpole
Oh,
and it's not yet a frog. And
okay.
your hand right there is not yet the goddess, or it's not yet the
Mhm.
butterfly, or it's not yet
Mm.
the jaguar.
I see.
So that's where I'm coming from.
The soul of the not yet. That's
Earlier, when you were talking about butterflies guiding souls and stuff, I actually just looked up frog in my mythology book, my symbols book here. Egyptian mummies were wrapped with amulets depicting the image of the frog as a charm to help the person's soul to be reborn. So, helping souls is something both butterflies and frogs are supposed to do, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a rebirth sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a metamorphosis
Yeah.
as
Well, yeah, because people were like, "What is this? Where'd it go? Oh, it's this thing now."
Of course, a frog is not a butterfly.
Right. I mean, going from the
Yeah.
tadpoles or the
A
caterpillar to butterfly.
tadpole
Yeah.
to the frog.
You know, like what happened? Oh, it's this strange
And a
creature.
caterpillar. So you don't really have a caterpillar there, but the,
Yeah.
the leaf, the branch kind of,
Could look like chrysalises.
yeah.
Yeah, and these things here could be allusions to additional butterflies too. You know, kind of. They have the same quality, just
I was,
like a shadow
I
of
was,
themselves or something.
I was
We think
thinking
it.
the same thing, that their positioning is kind of in formation with the butterflies flying in the background. All of which I think indicates that these two primary creatures and the third about to be, like, have emerged into a new world. And the frog at the bottom looks like, having gone through the metamorphosis we were all talking about, it's now resting and sort of taking in the new world. And the butterfly also, it doesn't have much of a face, but does have like wide eyes, and it does kind of look almost stunned at what it's just accomplished by metamorphosizing. But so, Brad, you had a name that you were suggesting. What was the name you suggested already?
I can't remember. Soul of the not yet.
No.
It was,
It was
That's
it
what
had
suggestions.
Metamorphosis of psyche.
Metamorphosis of psyche, yeah.
Yeah. That would be-
Yeah, so I think, like, I definitely feel like we're coming upon the scene, in terms of naming the sculpture, we're coming upon the scene after the primary metamorphosis has already happened.
yeah.
And another one is, like, about to complete. So they're at this stage of, like, taking in the new world. Someone said something about a new world
Second
as well. I don't know if that all adds up to a
So
name,
it's,
but emerging from metamorphosis, maybe.
Or witnessing, maybe witness to metamorphosis or something.
No, because what they're witnessing is their new world and their new state of being.
They're in
Yeah,
awe.
we're witnessing.
They're in
Yeah.
awe of this.
This
new
is all
world.
one being,
I
right?
like that one.
This is
Awe after metamorphosis.
I mean, I kind of like metamorphosis just alone.
just by itself.
Yeah.
But this is post metamorphosis, so I think it needs something more.
Yeah.
Well, but there's an ongoing, like, so that
Yeah.
hand,
Mm-hmm.
like I think metamorphosis, I mean, I'm thinking of the Kafka story, right? And there's something that's like something freaky about metamorphosis, and,
Yeah.
and not just magical and beautiful, but also something like
Weird.
disturbing.
Stunning.
Right?
Yeah,
And
at least there's not a
just
roach
so-
there.
I was gonna say, how's that? The
it-
like the first sentence is like
Just that,
regular woke up as a
Yeah.
just the name alone.
Doesn't quite do it. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. No, I kind of agree with you, I think.
Well, I think he's saying that is enough for you,
Yeah,
right?
that-
Just
For-
metamorphosis.
metamorphosis
is enough.
carries a lot of weight with this.
Yeah,
There's so much metamorphosis in
metamorphosis
there.
and the jaguar. I don't know. It needs a look to me. It needs.
Well, I like awe as well, and also like the freakishness, like maybe like being stunned almost by like what they've gone through.
Uh-huh.
So like
yeah,
stunned at the edge of the new world, or the awe of metamorphosis,
How about
Awe.
stunned by metamorphosis?
or
Metamorphosis.
Awe.
I like
awe after metamorphosis.
Yeah, metamorphosis. Awe.
Metamorphosis. Ah.
That would be literally awe after metamorphosis.
We're in awe.
I got some English
It would be.
Turning into.
One word.
Like if
Metamorphosis.
your title is awe after metamorphosis.
One word.
If it was just
like a
metamorphosis
handsaw.
awe, it's literally awe There's a name for those kind of
You got
things.
three, so
That's the word metamorphosis.
Ah,
You could still
metamorphosis.
call it both.
It's gotta be, it is metamorphosis, so I mean, that's a given. So what goes along with that?
Yeah, I think we're kind of on the metamorphosis thing now.
And that's good enough, I would agree.
So,
I was listening to a
Metamorphosis.
podcast all about awe on the way in, driving there,
Oh,
coincidentally,
there must have been a reason.
and how like
Yeah.
crucial it
miracle,
is.
it'd be too simple.
I have a title called Turtle Awe.
The,
So I've
the
used that
miracle
word.
of metamorphosis, but I think that's a little too kitschy.
Yeah, do you
Yeah.
guys think that metamorphosis saw is too
I mean,
lofty, or doesn't
it
sound
took
good?
me a second, but I do now understand what you meant by that would be
After.
awe. I meant, yes, it's like one of those,
She's making a linguistic
Yeah.
comment, not a meaning comment.
well, it's one of those,
It could have
it's one of those word, puzzle things.
Yeah,
Like
that's
if you,
what
yes,
there's a
like
name
if
for
you were to say, if you were to write it out as, what do you think? If you like had all the letters for change, and it was just kind of like, you know, put in random places, that's loose change.
Yeah.
It's these puzzles you can
Loose
find
change.
in newspapers and stuff occasionally to sort of be like,
What about secret, metamorphosis secret? Revealing,
Yeah, that's another.
and they're revealing something we didn't know, which was a secret.
I mean, maybe one of those will work, but just the newness of the world and just like now
yeah.
there's a new perspective.
the
you know?
novelty of
Yeah.
metamorphosis.
rebirth and metamorphosis.
Novelty could work in
Metamorphosis
there.
now.
Just you know, like it's like an awakening in a way. You know.
Oh, I like
Yeah.
that.
Awakening after metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis awakening.
I kind of like that.
Awakening from metamorphosis.
after metamorphosis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awakening after metamorphosis.
awakening.
Or-
Metamorphosis awakening.
Yeah.
Or awakening.
Awaken
after
metamorphosis.
Yeah.
No,
That's
either
interesting.
one.
The awe.
'Cause it looks like he's kind of waking up.
Or metamorphosis awe. That one works too.
Yeah, I like
Awakening.
the metamorphosis awe too, but
I like that word. Awe.
awakening after metamorphosis.
It is an awakening.
Yeah.
It's almost
Or
like
metamorphosis
from
power.
awakening from
Awakening from metamorphosis.
Yeah.
Although like
Because it does seem like this guy's a little drowsy here.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a little confused.
Mhm.
And I feel like we could use the word like metamorphic instead of metamorphosis because it kind of is a clunkier word.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
metamorphic awe, you're just in,
Yeah.
like they're in awe
Yeah.
of the
Metamorphic.
act of
Yeah.
That's an
Yeah.
adjective
New human
rather
starts
than a
to
noun.
give
Yeah.
up a little.
I
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
a
Yeah.
little different.
Metamorphic
Thank
awe.
you.
Metamorphic
Yes.
awe.
It wasn't sounding
I was struggling with the word
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, it's
Like,
kinda
what are we gonna
sounding
do about it?
Yeah.
I think that sounds like metamorphic awe.
That
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
good to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I think
Well
Well
done.
done. Well done.
Really good.
It didn't sound like it before.
Well, thank you, everyone. I think
You're
we're
welcome.
probably
That was-
kinda worn
that was
out
good
now,
fun.
But you're welcome to help yourself to some tea and stuff over there. And
A good
Can I
tangerine.
take a
this
picture
is
of
kind of
you?
fun, huh?
Yeah,
It's really fun.
His word.
it's really fun.
Thank you for the invitation.
Just move a pose by the
That part of the brain is
Maybe you can pull
I know, and I'll
the
be naming
Zen
stuff all day long.
idiots. Is that what it's called? Zen
Out over
lunatics?
there.